Leaky sexual energy is costing you thousands of fucking dollars. Yes, I said it. Every time that you unconsciously utilize your sexual energy, whether it's using porn unconsciously or having sex with someone where there's actually no intentional connection, where you're just bypassing intimacy altogether, you are draining yourself of the very energy that's responsible for your life force, your creativity, your abundance, and all of that leaks into your business. Hello, you're listening to Healing with Kink. I'm Karina, a psychotherapist, a coach, feminine embodiment guide. I blend everything I know about psychology, sexuality, kink, spirituality, and basically everything that makes us our most authentic selves. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. Let's play. So this is what I mean when I say leaky sexual energy. Sexual energy is life force energy. I really want you to start to think of it as creative energy that can literally create a child. And if you're not actively procreating, think about the things that you can create. This is what sexual alchemy, sex magic goes into. So when you're actively working with this energy, you feel magnetic, you feel alive, you feel absolutely fueled by your essence. In the Tao tradition, this is called the Jing, J-I-N-G. And when we're not actively channeling Jin in a conscious way, it's literally leaving. When I trained with Montauk Chia in Thailand about this, I asked him, what happens if someone doesn't know how to channel their sexual energy? What if they don't know that sexual energy is life force energy and they're just going off and leaking it everywhere? What happens? And he said, sexual energy is on the path of no return. And therefore, the energy literally just leaves. Because once you've activated sexual energy, it's going somewhere, whether you're taking it into orgasmic bliss or you're channeling it up your body and down your spine in the microcosmic orbit. If you've studied the Tao tradition, you know what that is. But if you're not actively channeling it, like it's gonna go somewhere regardless. So you might as well utilize this life force energy. This is why you might feel really depleted if you're not intentionally using it. So if you find yourself in an hour-long doom scroll of porn, or if you find yourself unconsciously having repeated sexual partners where there's no intimacy, where you're just bodies on bodies, this is why you might feel depleted and drained. So imagine like a bathtub filling up with water, and that water is your sexual energy that you're continuing to pour because we are sexual beings. That's just a part of human nature. So imagine this bathtub is getting filled with water, but there's holes at the end of the bathtub. So all of that water is leaking out, and those holes might be, again, the porn, the unconscious sex, the lack of reverence for your own sexual energy, for your own body. Those are all holes at the bottom of the bathtub, and it's leaking water. It's leaking energy. The first place I noticed this was actually during my sabbatical. I wasn't even having sex, but I was having conversations around sex with potential partners, right? I was going on dates, and I'm a very communicative person, so we'd have a lot of conversations around sex, and there was sexual energy being interchanged without the actual act of sex. And I noticed, at one point I just noticed that there was just like too much. I'm very sensitive to energy, so I can tell when there's holes at the bottom of my bathtub, so to speak, like when there's just like leaking of my energy field. And I noticed that I was going on all of these dates with people that weren't aligned, and it was actually leaking my own energy. And so what I did was I closed the container on all of those people. I came back into my body, and literally the minute that I did that, I had so much creative energy start to flow through. I started to create more content online. I started to feel more aligned with my own energy because there wasn't anything in my space. There wasn't shit taking up space in my space, in my precious space. If you're watching this, something tells me that you're probably also pretty attuned and you're interested in knowing, I wonder if I'm leaking my own sexual energy. So I'm glad that you're here so that you can start to learn how to actually channel it and not leak it. So once I got out of my sabbatical, something I started doing regularly was pleasure rituals and sex magic. So I would have a pleasure ritual, which I have another YouTube video about that. You can check out how to create your own pleasure ritual. And in those pleasure rituals, I would actively start to envision myself attracting clients, attracting money in my business, because I was off of sabbatical and I was ready to start working again. And ladies and gentlemen, it fucking works. I was channeling this every morning. It was every morning that I did it, starting in January 2025. For a month straight, I did it every single morning. And guess what happened? I had bookings come in left and right. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, is this actually happening? Granted, I sabotaged all of them because I got really sick and my nervous system wasn't wired to hold wealth yet, which I talk a lot about the importance of your nervous system being able to actually hold the wealth that's coming in. Otherwise, you will sabotage it. So there's more episodes about that. But I do just want to speak into the reality that it worked. In my pleasure rituals, clients started to come in. I had this one booking that paid me 4 figures for like 1 hour. It was amazing. And this was all because I was intentionally channeling my sexual energy. So again, if you don't know how to use this, learn, and guess what? I fucking teach it. So if you're interested, head into the show notes, fill out an application to work with me, because this work is potent and it changes everything if you're a business owner. Now that I hold such reverence for sexual energy, the way that I relate intimately is so different. Like, I do not have sex. I do not have any type of intimacy without a proper conversation. And I'm talking proper conversation around desires, around boundaries, around sexual health, around partners, around, what, like, I need to understand, like, what's in this space? Who am I allowing into my field? This is how I'd love for everyone to start to treat sexual intimacy. Being super intentional, because whoever you allow into your space is going to impact the rest of your field, the rest of your life, your career, your relationships, your self-care. It all gets impacted. So I have a question for you. Let's talk about unconscious sexual energy. Think about the last time that you were intimate with someone and it felt disconnected. Maybe the lights were off, you weren't even looking at each other in the eyes, there was no conversation, you're kind of just like going through the motions. How did you feel after? Did you feel alive and joyful and expansive and like, yes, oh my God, that was so good? Or did you feel leaving depleted and drained and confused? Women who have a womb have the capacity to multiply, right? That's what the womb space does. It multiplies. So if you're allowing energy that's coming in that isn't in deep reverence for the goddess that you are, that isn't in deep reverence to the feminine, you're multiplying that energy. If you're bringing in a man into your literal body that is confused, that a man that doesn't know what he wants, doesn't know what he wants with you, you're multiplying that energy. So be uber conscious about who you're bringing into your orbit, into your actual body, because your body's a fucking temple and your womb will multiply whatever you put inside. This is why working with the womb space is so important as a business owner, because anything that you want to create in your business, any offering, any service, directly relates to the way that you're treating your body. It's crazy. These are things that I didn't know in my first business. These are not concepts that I taught at all. They're not concepts that I embodied. I didn't even know they existed. But now that I do, I'm like, how the fuck did I run a business without this knowledge? It's kind of like riding a bike up a hill. You're still gonna get to the top of the hill, right? Like, I was still successful in business, but I was just working really fucking hard. Whereas now, with all of this knowledge that I have about the body and somatics and sexual energy, there's an easier way to do business as a woman when you know this. So now I want you to think about intentional lovemaking. Think about the last time that you had intentional lovemaking, where you looked at each other in the eyes, where you stated your desires, where you really set the room in a beautiful way with candles, with scents, with music, where your room became a fucking temple. You're breathing together. You're fully present with each other. There's deep love. Tell me, how did you feel after that experience? Chances are you felt fueled, you felt nourished, you felt alive, and chances are that other people, this has happened to me before, they'll look at me, after the experience, and they'll say, "You're glowing. Like, what happened here?" Intentional lovemaking. And I know I'm giving examples with partners, but you can have intentional lovemaking with yourself. You can have an actual pleasure ritual for yourself. If you're a woman, I have a free membership where I have pre-recorded practices, and there is a pleasure ritual inside of there. Highly recommend it. It's only 12 minutes and it brings you into your body. It activates your sensuality. 90% of women that do that ritual come out saying that they feel tingly and alive, and I want that for you. So head into the show notes to get access right now. So let's zoom out a little bit. You're listening to this episode and you're like, maybe I am leaking a little bit. Maybe I'm not being as intentional as I should be. The way we do one thing is the way we do everything. So what's happening here with the topics we're talking about, inevitably, I promise you, in some capacity, it's happening in your business. Maybe you're leaking because you're overgiving, you're undercharging, you're abandoning your boundaries, you're people pleasing with your clients, you're people pleasing online, you're showing only this like cookie cutter view of you and not the full truth of who you are. This is this leaky type of energy that's just not sexy, it's not magnetic, and it's probably the reason why your business isn't where you want it to be. And listen, I don't want to act like I'm this perfect fucking god. Like, I still have moments where I'm like, you're not playing all out, Karina, or you're undercharging. Up those prices. Right? There are moments where I catch myself, and this is just the part of being a business owner. Depending on how long you've been in the game, there are ebbs and flows and tests and challenges. And this is what happens when you're a woman that's deeply devoted to the work that you do. You're very heart-led, you're very spirit-led. You're gonna have tests and lessons because your business is basically a personal development seminar. I swear to God, it is the fastest level of growth if you devote yourself fully, if you play all out. So if you're a woman in business and you are ready to start bringing in more of this intentional erotic energy, more of your feminine energy online and into your business, head into the show notes because I have a mastermind that is coming up. It is gonna be a group of women business owners deeply dedicated to creating business in a different way. We're not building like men anymore, okay, ladies? That's not what we're doing. And if you're a man and you're still interested in these concepts, sorry, you can't join the mastermind, it's only women, but I do take one-on-one clients, so still fill out an application. I am telling you people, your business, your bank account, it doesn't need more hustle, more strategy, more funnels. It actually needs you to be able to be clean with your sexual energy because that is the life force, the creativity that will run through it and create more abundance. Yes, there's discipline that comes with that. I am the strategy fucking queen, but strategy devoid of eros, strategy devoid of intentional sexual energy, of intentional feminine flow, that's literally recipe for disaster. I've lived that life. I created the business that made me thousands of dollars. I created a very successful business from my masculine energy, and guess what? It's not what I wanted to do after my sabbatical. So that is what I'm teaching now, is building from a feminine flow, building with your sexual energy, your erotic energy, your creative energy turned all the way online. Because that's magnetism. That is magnetism. If this is speaking to you, you already know what to do. Thank you so much for listening. If this resonated, hit like, hit subscribe. I do this all for free because I fucking love it. Your support truly means the world. It helps grow the show. And if you're feeling generous, post it on your story and tag me. I would love to repost. If you want to go even deeper, head into the show notes. Check out my free membership, my paid membership, my one-on-one services. The work does not need to end here. It's truly just the beginning.